Hey everyone. First time posting here. I'm 35M and have been married to my wife, let's call her Tara, 32F, for 7 years. We've had our share of ups and downs, like any couple. But if you'd asked me a year ago, I would have said we were solid. Maybe a little worn down by routine, but still a team. Tara's always had a strong personality, smart, sarcastic, the kind who never loses an argument. I used to admire that. Lately? It just felt like every conversation ended with me apologizing for something I didn't even understand. The shift started subtle. Tara began working late a lot more, though she works in PR, not exactly the kind of job that requires night shifts. She got jumpy when I'd ask simple questions, and she started locking her phone, even in the house. That wasn't normal. We used to be the type to read each other memes in bed. And then there were the random traffic stops. I got pulled over 3 times in a month, same general area, near our neighborhood. No tickets. Just routine checks. The weird thing? Every time, it was the same officer. Big guy. Buzz cut. Too friendly with Tara when she later saw him at a charity event we went to together. That was the first time I saw her change when she talked to another man. She laughed differently. Flipped her hair. Touched his arm. I remember thinking, he's just a cop, probably knows everyone in the community. I brushed it off. But that feeling in my gut? It never left. It just got louder. So after that charity event where Tara seemed way too cozy with Officer Friendly, I started paying more attention. I wasn't trying to play detective, just trying not to be stupid. Then came the night that really tipped the scales. Tara said she was heading to her sister's house for a girls' night. No biggie. I trust her, or I wanted to. But she left in such a rush, forgot her gym bag in the hallway, which wouldn't matter, except that her sister's night was apparently happening across town, and that gym bag had a tiny strip of a police-issued parking pass sticking out from a side pocket. We don't know any cops besides Officer Buzzcut. And last I checked, wine night with your sister doesn't require a visitor pass for the police department's back lot. I confronted her casually when she got home. Hey, forgot your bag. Did you go to the station or something? She froze. Just for a second. Then hit me with, oh yeah, my sister dropped me off at her friend's house who works there. It was a surprise party thing. That lie was too detailed. Like she practiced it. I nodded. Didn't say much. But I'd already started putting pieces together. Next day, I called her sister. Casual conversation. And sure enough, no hangout happened. Tara hadn't been there in weeks. That's when it hit me like a freight train. This wasn't just paranoia. This was real. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. I followed her. Next time she said she was going shopping, I waited 15 minutes and drove out. Parked a block away from where I knew that officer lived. Sat in my car with the engine off and heart pounding in my ears. And then I saw it. Her car. In his driveway. She wasn't shopping. She was with him. And my world started to fall apart right there in a beat-up Civic Park 2 blocks from the truth. I don't even know how long I sat there staring at her car. Could have been 10 minutes, could have been an hour. All I remember is the sinking feeling, that suffocating weight pressing down on my chest while my brain screamed, there's no way she'd do this. Not Tara. Not my wife. But there it was. The guy's cruiser parked right in the driveway. Her car beside it. Curtains drawn. And me, sitting like an idiot 2 blocks down, heart racing like I was the one committing a crime. I drove home before I could spiral even harder. I didn't want to lose it in public, not in front of neighbors, not on his street. I knew I needed to be smart, calm, collected. But inside? I was boiling. That night, she came home like nothing happened. Walked in humming, threw her keys on the table, asked if I wanted anything from DoorDash. Like she hadn't just stepped out of another man's house. So I asked her straight up. You really went shopping today? She didn't even flinch. Yeah. Target and Marshall's. Why? I stared at her. Find anything interesting in Officer Barnes' driveway? Boom. That's when her face changed. She didn't even try to deny it at first, just stared at me like a raccoon caught in the trash. Then she went cold. You followed me? Wow. That's psychotic. Psychotic. That's what she called me. Not sorry, not it's not what you think, not even let me explain. Just flipped the script like she was the victim. I asked her how long it had been going on. She rolled her eyes and said, "It's complicated." Then she had the audacity to say she'd been feeling neglected lately. That I didn't listen to her anymore. That she didn't plan for this to happen, but feelings developed. Bullshit. You don't accidentally end up in a cop's bed. You don't trip into someone else's driveway in the middle of the day while lying to your husband about Target runs. I couldn't even speak after that. My throat was tight. I just walked out of the room before I said something I'd regret. After that first confrontation, things went downhill fast. She started acting like I was the problem. Said I was overreacting, that it was just emotional and that they had only kissed a few times. Oh, and apparently it didn't mean anything. Classic. I told her I saw her car in his driveway for 2 hours. She shrugged and said, "We were talking. In a cop's house. In private. During the workday. While lying to your husband." The audacity was Olympic level. When I pressed her harder, she flipped the whole narrative like she was reading from a toxic spouse playbook. You never ask me how I feel anymore. He listens to me. Maybe if you were more affectionate, this wouldn't have happened. She even pulled the "we were already drifting apart" card, which, let me tell you, is the biggest cop-out for cheaters. As if betrayal is somehow justified because they didn't feel appreciated. I asked her if she was in love with him. She scoffed and said, "Love? He's just exciting." Exciting. Like I was a 9-to-5 job and he was an amusement park ride. I felt humiliated, not just by her lies, but by the way she looked at me, like I was some boring responsibility she had to escape. Like I was the background noise, and he was the main event. And then, as if she hadn't insulted me enough, she said, "You need to calm down. You're making this into a bigger deal than it is." Right. My wife cheating on me and blaming me for it, not a big deal. That night, I slept in the guest room. I didn't trust myself to be near her. I felt betrayed, hollow, and more alone than I'd ever felt in my life, even though she was just one wall away. The next few days were hell. I was walking through my own house like a ghost. We barely spoke. When we did, it was clipped, cold, fake. She kept pretending like things could go back to normal, like this was just a bump in our marriage. But I was drowning in it. The lies, the betrayal, the mental gymnastics she kept pulling to justify it all. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't focus at work. I'd stare at emails for hours without typing a single word. My mind just kept going back to her in that man's house. In his bed. Saying the same things to him that she used to say to me. I started questioning everything. Was she ever really happy with me? Was I just blind this whole time? Worst part? I still loved her. That was the cruelest twist. Even after everything, some sick part of me wanted to believe this was salvageable. That the woman I married, the one who used to laugh at my dumb jokes and cry during Pixar movies, was still in there somewhere. But every time I looked at her, all I saw was the cop. Him, standing between us like some smug shadow in uniform. One night, I broke down. Alone. I sat on the bathroom floor at 2 a.m. with the lights off, just staring at the tile. I hadn't cried in years, not even at my dad's funeral. But I cried then. I sobbed like a kid who lost his favorite person. Because I had. She wasn't mine anymore. And maybe she never was. That's when I knew. This wasn't something we could talk through. This wasn't a phase. This was who she'd become, a liar who didn't respect me, didn't value the truth, and sure as hell didn't love me. And I couldn't live like that. A few days after that breakdown in the bathroom, I finally pulled myself together enough to do what I should have done the moment I saw her car in his driveway. I gave her an ultimatum. I told her we needed to have a real conversation. No deflections, no "you're overreacting," no gaslighting. Just truth. One time. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table. Her sipping coffee like we were about to talk about weekend plans, not the bomb she'd dropped on our marriage. I laid it out. You cheated. You lied. You made me question everything. And I need to know if you're even willing to fight for this, or if you've already chosen him. She didn't respond right away. She just stared at the table and said, "It's not that simple." Yes. It is. I asked her, point blank, "Are you still seeing him?" She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. But then she whispered, "Sometimes." Sometimes. Like it was a casual brunch spot she couldn't quite give up. I was done playing nice. I said, "If you want him, go. But don't expect me to stick around and let you keep one foot in my life while the other's in his bed." And that's when she dropped another bomb. "I think I might be pregnant." I swear the air left the room. I stared at her. "Is it his?" She said she wasn't sure and hadn't told him yet. I felt like someone punched me in the chest. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking, and all I could think was, how the hell did we get here? She started crying. Crying. As if she was the one being destroyed. And I just sat there. Silent. Numb. Watching the woman I married completely unravel and take our marriage with her. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I called in sick, though emotionally annihilated wasn't exactly something I could list on the HR form. Tara acted like we could just keep living in the same house while she figured things out, including the paternity of a possible child that may or may not be mine. No chance in hell. I told her we were getting a paternity test immediately. She resisted at first, saying it was too early and that I should just trust her. Trust her. After weeks of lying, sneaking around, and sleeping with a cop behind my back, I ended up calling a lawyer that afternoon. Told them everything. I didn't even know if I was ready for divorce, but I needed to be prepared. At this point, I was tired of reacting. I wanted to be proactive. Later that day, I got a message request on Facebook. From someone I didn't know. Guess who? The cop's wife. Yup. Turns out Officer Barnes wasn't single like Tara had claimed. He had a whole family, 2 kids, picket fence, golden retriever. The wife had suspected something for a while. She'd seen weird texts on his phone. Then she found a selfie of him and my wife at a freaking zoo. Apparently that's their spot. Romantic, right? Nothing says forbidden love like pandas and popcorn. We ended up talking on the phone for over an hour. 2 strangers bonded by betrayal. She was hurt. Angry. But calm. Too calm, maybe. Said she'd been through this before with him. Tara wasn't his first affair, just the latest in a long string of badges and broken vows. And that? That hit different. My wife didn't just cheat. She fell for the discount version of a cliché, the married cop who gets off on power and forbidden fruit. And she was probably carrying his kid. A week later, we got the paternity test done. She complained the entire time about how invasive it felt, how I was being cold, and how this whole thing was ruining everything. No, Tara. You ruined everything. Waiting for those results was like standing on the edge of a cliff every day, knowing the ground was about to disappear under my feet. I tried to brace myself for either outcome, but nothing could have prepared me for the emotional wreckage. And then, the results came in. The baby wasn't mine. It was his. Officer Badge Bunnies. There it was, in black and white. A literal, biological confirmation of betrayal. The moment I read the report, I felt something inside me go completely still. Not rage, not even sadness. Just emptiness. She cried when I told her I saw the results. Said she was sorry, that she didn't mean for this to happen, that it all just got out of control. She even had the nerve to ask, "Can we still work through this?" I asked her one question: "Would you have told me the truth if you hadn't gotten pregnant?" She didn't answer. That silence told me everything I needed to know. I packed a bag that night. I slept at my brother's place, and I've been here ever since. Filed for divorce the next morning. Clean. Cold. Efficient. She tried to stall it. Said she needed time. Said we should try counseling. But you don't get counseling for premeditated betrayal. You don't put a band-aid over a bullet wound. And the final twist? The cop's wife sent me one last message. She'd kicked him out. Said he was crashing at a buddy's place, a real fall from grace story. Apparently, he thought Tara was going to leave me for him. Joke's on him. She's alone. And pregnant. And now everyone knows who she really is. It's wild how quiet life gets after a storm like that. The paperwork went through fast, I made sure of it. I had proof, timelines, even statements from the officer's wife. Tara tried to fight for the house at first, claiming she needed a stable place to raise the baby. But once my lawyer brought up the adultery and the paternity results, she backed off. Quietly. She moved in with her sister. From what I've heard, and trust me, I've tried not to keep tabs, but mutual friends talk, the cop didn't take her in like she'd expected. Apparently, he ghosted her not long after she told him the baby was his. Classic. And me? I've been rebuilding. It's not easy. Some mornings I wake up and forget I'm not married anymore. Other days, I remember everything the moment I open my eyes, and it hits like a sucker punch to the gut. But at least now, I'm not living in a lie. I've picked up new hobbies. Started running again. Cooking for myself. Took a weekend trip solo just to clear my head, something I'd never have done before. It's oddly empowering, realizing you can find peace in your own company. I still feel the hurt sometimes. Betrayal leaves a scar. But it doesn't control me anymore. That's the biggest change. I don't check her socials. I don't read her messages, she still sends them, by the way. And I sure as hell don't wonder what if. Because the answer is already clear. What if I stayed? I'd be miserable. What if I forgave her? She'd just do it again. What if I deserved better? I do. If you've made it this far, thanks for sticking with me. This whole thing still feels surreal sometimes, like I lived through someone else's bad soap opera. But here's what I've learned. Trust your gut. I ignored red flags because I didn't want to seem paranoid. Don't do that. Patterns matter. Sudden behavioral shifts matter. You're not crazy for noticing. People who lie once usually lie again. Tara didn't just cheat. She gaslit me. Over and over. Lied about where she was, who she was with, what she felt. And she was good at it, scary good. If someone can look you in the eye and tell you they love you while they're sleeping with someone else, run. You can love someone and still leave them. That was the hardest one for me. I loved Tara. I did. But love can't fix everything. And love doesn't mean staying somewhere your dignity is constantly being trampled. Healing isn't linear. Some days I felt fine. Others I was wrecked by a photo, a smell, a memory. That's normal. Let yourself feel it. Just don't unpack and live in that pain. You're not alone. I thought I was the only guy dealing with this kind of betrayal. I'm not. And neither are you. There are people who've survived worse and come out stronger. You will too. So what would I tell someone going through what I did? Don't settle for someone who makes you feel like you have to earn their loyalty. Don't accept half-truths just because you love the person telling them. And most importantly, if they make you feel crazy for asking for honesty, get out.